Is this the greatest mouse grip of all time? Donk, Monesy, Zywoo, Twistzz all use a form of this grip. Let's break this down from a biomechanical and performance perspective. This has become a popular grip over the years, but seems to be the most popular across the tag FPS community. There's a reason for this, as tactical FPS games, especially at the highest level, are primarily about crosshair placement and angle clearing or slicing the pie versus edge locking limits the overall mouse activity needed. The mouse movement in tactical FPS is also horizontally dominant in nature, as evident through these mouse movement maps. Being able to increase the control of the mouse for these relatively smaller angles is important, and this grip can help with that. Here are the biomechanics of why it can increase control. This grip can be considered a hover palm claw hybrid. With this grip, the finger contact points are shifted forward, which can effectively move the center of mass forward. But what is more interesting about this grip is that it reduces the distance between the wrist joint, which is the primary point of control, and the optical sensor of the mouse. With the joint actually closer to the optical sensor, it creates an increased overall sense of control. You can test this with yourself and feel the difference in smoothness when you try the actual position yourself within these smaller ranges of motion, as the lever arm from the joint to the optical sensor is far less than any other traditional grip. Other variables to consider with regards to this grip are the mouse pad, and hand size. Depending on the mouse skates and mouse pad, there may be a certain level of friction which can affect the sensitivity and overall control. For example, using an Artisan Heian FX Soft versus an MP510. This is especially relevant to this grip because of the downward pressure associated with this style. The downward pressure can also affect the friction and the overall feel of the grip. More downward pressure will create more overall friction and slower mouse movement. I'm sure the individual selection of the mouse pad and mouse combinations are reflective of the desired friction or feel from each of the pros who use this grip. Or they can just modify the pressure downward to get that same desired feel. The hand to mouse size ratio is also important to consider. Larger hands, when the mouse size is the same, can also potentially shorten the distance between the joint, the body's point of control, and the optical sensor, the peripheral point of control. Again, these are just some variables to consider and can explain why individuals might choose specific mice that are considerate of their own individual anatomy. Using this grip can increase the amount of use of the palm-sided muscles. Again, the misconception is often that it can increase the use of the extensor muscles, or the muscles on the top side of the forearm. This is only true when the forearm is floating, and depending on the amount of downward pressure utilized, it may also involve the triceps. But the downward pressure is mainly applied through the forearm flexors. This means anyone who is using this grip should be strengthening or building endurance of these muscles and stretching them regularly between games to ensure that they can use this grip without leading to any issue of overuse. Here are a few exercises you can do to build endurance specific to the palm flexors or forearm flexors. Or you can check out some of our cheat sheets that provide exercises specific to that region, among many others. The first two exercises strengthen the muscles on the palm side of the forearm. Again, those that are utilized a bit more consistently within this grip, especially if you have increased downward pressure. In addition to strengthening, you also want to stretch the muscles that are repeatedly utilized, so that's the wrist extension stretch. So, should you use this grip? This is probably what everyone wants to know, and my answer is that use what is comfortable for you and stick with it. Everyone is different, and as you can tell, there are many variables that can affect your mouse control. Whether this is grip, DPI, sense, the amount of downward pressure, pad friction. And so yes, you can optimize your mechanical skill for a specific esports title, but what are the actual performance returns? If we zoom out, performance is multifactorial in esports, and there's often an over-fascination with optimizing mechanical skill performance in the space. And while it does matter, performance is affected by many things, and arguably, at the highest level, the mental game plays a larger factor. When pros are in flow, the difference in headshot percentage and other mechanical skills won't be too different, but the mental toughness and the performance psychology needed to succeed over multiple tournaments, lengthy competitions, and unique team environments is often what sets aside the GOATs from the great. So you can try this grip if you want, but whatever you end up doing, stick with it and don't focus too much on what your grip is.